will go to the nurse's office and complain to them that she is really not feeling good so that they call me and I have to go get her. Well, one day after this happens, I walk into the administrative office and everybody is really concerned because Savannah is sitting in a chair like so dramatically like, hi, Mom. And like when I saw her, I burst out laughing. I was like, oh my God, are you okay? And everybody looked at me like I was some really bad mom, like, oh my God, why aren't you more concerned? But as we were walking out, she was walking really slow and actually didn't look good. So even I was a little concerned. I was like, oh my God, honey, are you okay? Until we got to the car when Savannah looks at me and goes, you know what, Mom, I feel better now. And I was like, Savannah, are you serious? And she's like, Mom, do you maybe want to go to Starbucks and have like a girls' day? And I was like, honey, what kind of question is that? You know I do. Story time.
So about a month ago, my manager came over and she took me to the side and she was like, I don't want to alarm you, but I've dealt with it. There was a man threatening to leak indecent images of you if you don't send him more. Huh? She said, yeah. He has pictures of your job, please. Excuse me, I have the chest of a 12-year-old boy. There is nothing to capture. It's just bone. I don't take pictures of that. Ever. Like, I'd understand if I had double D's, but baby, I've got -A's. So I said, thank you for dealing with a cheeky bit of blackmail in my business email, but he's lying. Let's move forward. So I forgot about it. And then today, I'm uploading a YouTube video, and I haven't checked my channel in ages. What do I see when I check it? Ads limited due to nudity on one of my vlogs. Which vlog is it, you might ask?
I'll vlog getting my nips pierced.
I need to take a class on how to blur correctly. My itty bitty titty committee is on the internet. If you're about to check, please subscribe. And also, I'm sorry in advance. If yours are small, it might make you feel better.
Broken up. He had left me for a girl that he was seeing on the side, and we hadn't spoken in months. We had both blocked each other on pretty much everything. But as most girls do, I do have my fake Instagram account, and he seemed pretty happy in his new relationship. I believed that until I got a DM from a girl. She sent me screenshots of messages and fake accounts that he had made to communicate to her. So he had literally been cheating on the girl that he was with now with her the whole time. I literally don't understand people sometimes. Both him and I were in the same friend group, mostly because we pretty much grew up together. So I talked to another member of the group about what we should do. Now, I believe in karma and that people get what they deserve, but who's to say that I'm not karma? So we decided to show up to his house with not only the girl he was cheating with, but all the girls he cheated on me with. And take care of this, I kid you not, game show style. Follow, share, interact, and I'll do a part 2.
And Pedro invited me, and I was like, let me check if I have something to do. I don't. I'm gonna go, Pedro, don't worry. The night before, I was like, I need to look scandalous, like so scandalous. So I remember I wore this 2-piece bathing suit. So long story short, the day came and we went to the beach. So we get to the water and immediately I go in. I wanted to show him, like, I'm a bra girl. Oh, this is the best part. So I'm coming out of the water and I'm trying to look like a baddie. Like, I'm trying to walk out all cute, like the hair is wet and everything. And I noticed Pedro was looking at my legs. So I was like, maybe he's trying to shoot his shot. So I went to go tell him something. And I was like, why do you keep looking at me? And he was like, look at your legs. I look at my legs. There's a whole ass piece of poop from the beach water.
Table when you're on a blind date. One of my best friends and I worked at the same restaurant. When I came in later that day for my shift, she told me a crazy story. She said that her first table were this guy and this girl, and she could tell they were on a first date. The girl was nervous, so she ordered a glass of wine. As far as she knew, the date seemed to be going well, and the girl got up to go to the bathroom. Right when my friend was about to come over and bring the silverware, she saw him put something in her wine. My friend, obviously terrified and freaking out, let our manager know, who then let the police know, and ran into the bathroom to tell her what was going on. The girl ended up staying in the bathroom until the police came, arrested him, and escorted him out of the building. It was noon on a Tuesday. You don't think you're going to be drugged at noon on a Tuesday.
Lord, I went to buy my first pair of sexy underwear, and of course I splashed out because I went to Primark and they were only £1. As I left Primark, I walked into the shopping centre, and there was a group of 17-year-old boys, and they were really fit, so I tried to strut and show off, and then I fell over. My bags went flying and thongs went all over the floor, and an old man came and helped me pick them up. And as I gathered myself to leave, one of the fit boys tapped me on the shoulder, and he said, "You missed one," and handed me a lacy thong.
Trust your gut. In the 1970s, a young couple decided to go for a late-night hike in the woods. A couple minutes into their walk, and the man remembers thinking something's not right. He tells his girlfriend, but they just decide to ignore it and keep going, until he steps on something that felt really soft, like it was alive. Before he has a chance to see what he stepped on, they hear all this rustling in the bushes next to them, and they bolt. Years later, that couple turns on the TV, and a death row inmate who's about to be executed is being interviewed. And they ask him, "Was there ever a time that you were almost caught red-handed?" He responded, "Yes, one time. I was in the woods, and a couple walked through, and the man actually stepped on the body of a girl I had just killed. I was hiding in the bushes just a few feet away. They didn't see me." That couple had run into one of the worst serial killers of all time, Ted Bundy. Doors. A junior in high school was home alone working on a paper while his parents were out to dinner. All night he sits with his back to his door, sitting at his desk with his noise-canceling headphones on. Around 11 o'clock he takes his headphones off at the same time his parents are returning to the house, and he hears his mom from downstairs yell, "Hey Adrian, what happened?" Confused, he runs downstairs and sees right away what she's looking at, muddy footprints all over the rug. He tells her, "I didn't leave my desk." And then they realize someone must have broken in. They look at the footprints and there's none leaving the house. They're worried someone's still in the house, so they run into the garage, terrified, call the police. Police arrive and they don't find anyone in the house, but they do make a chilling discovery upstairs. The police bring them to the kid's bedroom door, which had been left open all night, and they point to the message written on it in Sharpie. This is the actual transcript of what was written on his door, which means for nearly 2 hours, someone stood in this kid's doorway watching him.
Storytime. So when I was in 8th grade, there was this boy, and this boy would go around telling almost every girl that he liked her. And I was one of those girls. And he would do stuff with all of us. And there were like 11 of us. So we all hated each other. Especially this one girl, and we're gonna call her Abby. And every time we saw each other, we would be super mean to each other. Well, a year passed, we stopped talking to this kid, and I bumped into her at homecoming and basically apologized. So after that, we became best friends. And everything was good until every time I told her about a guy, she would start talking to them. Like this one boy that I was Snapchatting and talking to, she accidentally sent nudes to him and said, "Oh, sorry, I meant to send them to my boyfriend." So then she called one of my other best friends and said, "No, it actually wasn't an accident." And of course he told me because he was my best friend. So I was like, whatever, and stopped talking to the boy. And she did it again, like for part 2.
A bitch had to go potty. It was poo-poo time. So I remember I went to the restroom and I was exploding or whatever. And these girls walked in. We're gonna call them the Chipettes, okay? This is the best part. So the Chipettes start yelling in the bathroom. "Is someone here? Can someone hear me?" Like, I didn't say anything. I was literally taking a shit. Like, what? These girls, deadass, start laughing. They turn off the lights in the bathroom. They turn on all the sinks, whatever. And they start saying like Bloody Mary or some shit. And then the Chipettes run out of the bathroom and shut the door. So here I am getting casted on. I remember seeing a shadow. I fell on my ass and I start screaming and crying. It wasn't good. So someone called the janitor. Janitor walks in to check up on me. It's a guy.
On me with my stepsister. So a little background information, my mom remarried whenever I was in 8th grade, and my stepdad had 2 daughters.
One which was my age, and we got along really well. Well, before my sisters and I went back to school, my mom wanted to go on a camping trip with everyone. And my boyfriend was coming because he was really close with my family. So while my stepsister and I are packing up, she starts acting really weird. And we're gonna call my boyfriend Kevin. She was like, "Oh, is Kevin still coming with us?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then she goes, "Oh, are you and Kevin still together?" And I'm like, "We were never broken up. Like, the fuck?" Like I said, she was just being super fucking weird. But anyways, we all get in the car, we drive up there, and her and Kevin start being super weird around each other. Like, they were being too touchy. Anytime that I wanted to go do something with Kevin, she would say, "Oh, Kevin, you can come do this instead." Well, that night, Kevin and I are sleeping in our tent. At least I thought he was. And I wake up to some loud noises in the other tent, like for part 2.
I used to work at Tilly's, so buckle up. This middle-aged mom walks in the store, right? And she just starts walking around the men's section and literally just grabbing everything she sees. I mean, she's not even looking at the sizes. So we thought that was weird, so we went up and asked her if she needs any help, and of course she said no. Then she decides that she wants to try everything on. So I unlocked a room for her, and then I told her that she can only have 7 at a time, and she literally had a million things, and she just ran in, shut the door, and cut me off. So we started to get suspicious, so I started talking over my little headset thingy and telling the people around the store what's going on. We knocked on the door like 3 times asking if she needed help or needed any other sizes, and of course she just said no again. Then she comes barging out and literally runs to the front door and just leaves. So I walk in to see, and there's literally a bloody tampon on the floor. 2 days later, she comes back to the store.
On part 2, I'm going to be blending all of this in, and I'm just using a beauty blender. There's some like orb outside my house right now. What the hell? Interrupting my video. Thank you. I rubbed my lips together and I went all the way up here, but kind of a look. Anyway, so here's the skin. It's kind of rough on this side, but pretty good. Now we're gonna do the eyes. So I'm just going to be taking an eyeshadow brush and like smudging it in. And I'm gonna set with powder. Wipe it off. Highlight.
Watch videos to the end. In 2003, a woman came home to her apartment to see that her door was unlocked. She went inside, nothing was missing, so she assumed she must have left it open. When it happened a few more times, but still nothing was missing in her apartment, she went out and got a camera, set it up in her apartment aimed at the front door. The next day, her door was unlocked, so she reviewed the footage. She watches in horror as late in the night, her front door opens and in walks this tall, creepy man who looks around and then walks towards her bedroom off camera. She immediately sprints out of her apartment and calls the police, who show up and tell her to go back in her apartment and just try to stay calm, and that they would put an officer right outside her door so she's safe. As she's sitting on the bed, totally traumatized, she realizes something. She only saw him enter her apartment on that video. She doesn't know if he actually left. As she's sitting there, she feels breathing on her ankles. She runs out, the cop comes in, and he finds the tall, creepy man under the bed holding a knife and a camera.
To get myself out of trouble. So back in high school, I used to run on the cross country team, but by no means was I competitive or athletic at all. I was honestly just there for the social aspect of it. All throughout my freshman year of high school, I would literally run to Cold Stone Creamery to get ice cream and bring it back to everyone on my bus. I don't know if that tells you what kind of athlete I was, but yeah. Somehow I still didn't get caught for doing this stuff, and by later in high school, my friends and I decided to pretty much never go. I mean, we would show up to practice, but we would wait until everyone was ahead of us and then turn the opposite direction and sprint to Starbucks. We literally did this almost every single day. And then we would call cute boys from other schools to come meet us over there. We would literally get coffee with them, go shopping, and then once we saw the team getting close again, we would just run back to school and pretend like we did the workout. Until one day, I was called down to the principals. They said it had to do with my cross-country attendance. Follow, share, and I'll tell you what happened next.
delete or block any bitch off of social media. Here's what you're gonna do if you're uncomfortable, which bitch you fucking should be. You're gonna have one conversation, eloquently spoken without you ever saying, I would prefer you to delete or block. Never say that. Don't even bring it up. If he goes, grabs his phone, deletes and blocks, gives you a fucking hug and kiss and says, baby, I love you, and those bitches don't matter, you're winning. If he does it and makes a big deal out of it, is hesitant, doesn't delete or block, or makes a big fuss about doing it and then does it, he will never look at it as his decision. He will always hold you accountable for that decision, will resent you, and then go behind your back, re-follow and unblock that bitch the minute the going gets tough. So be careful how you phrase what you're telling your man.
On my cousin, in other terms, his daughter. So when I was 11, my cousin was throwing a party, then afterwards a sleepover. By the way, we're calling her Adrian, and she was turning 13. So the day of the party, me and my other sister were dropped off by my dad, and we were dropped off very early, maybe 5 hours before the party, and that's because he had to go to work, and my uncle didn't mind taking us all together to the party. Plus, we got to help them set up for the party. When we arrived, we went to Adrian's room, and she got her hair done. It looked so good. When we were talking to her, she just seemed so sad. And you know, when you're younger, you can tell when things are off. She seemed bratty, and she would say that she hated her mom and her dad. To me, I'm like, why? She has the perfect life. Fast forward, she throws the party, and when it's all over, we go back to her house for the slumber party. We ate snacks, played games, watched movies till we fell asleep. I'm a light sleeper. And when everyone was asleep, my uncle came in the living room, tapped on Adrian's shoulder, and told her she got to go to sleep in her bed tonight. Let me know if I should.
So I was in the grocery store, minding my own business, as one should, and I kept getting stares, which I understand why, because look at all this. No, I'm kidding. It's apparently because my jean shorts are too short. It made me uncomfortable. But alas, I'm a strong gal, I just keep a-strolling. And I noticed that there's this older man who keeps a-walking behind me. And I'm thinking, what's good, Bubba? Well, he approaches me and he says this. Yes, this is true, buckle up. Ma'am, you're not wearing a whole lot of clothing. You're gonna make men stumble. And I said, sir, are you saying you're falling head over heels in love with me? He didn't think that was funny. He said, when girls like you wear clothing like that, it's very difficult for boys and men like me to control my thoughts and actions. I said, sir, if you and others can't control your thoughts and actions, you shouldn't be leaving the house because you're a predator. Didn't have my phone, so I didn't have an alarm clock, so I overslept for school the next day. My brother drives me to school, and since I didn't have a phone, I didn't know that there was no school because of a snowstorm. Me and my brothers, both being dumbasses, don't see that there's no cars in the parking lot, so my brother drops me off and speeds away. I'm knocking on the door for like 20 minutes waiting for them to let me in. Nobody opens the door, bro. I'm like, is there no school today? Boom, it starts to snow, and I'm like, oh fuck, I'm wearing ripped jeans with no jacket. I'm like, oh shit, what do we do now? I live like 15 minutes driving from the school. So I'm walking around looking if I can use somebody's phone. I knock on this lady's door. She opens up and I'm like, ma'am, can I please use your phone? I think she had dementia because she started screaming at me. And she's like, no, slams the door in my face. I finally find an angel like 2 streets down. And she's like, oh, of course, princess, come inside. And in my mind, I'm like, I've seen the horror movies. Thank you, ma'am, but I'm just going to stay outside. I call my mom to pick me up. And she's like, pick you up from where? I'm like, I don't know. I've been walking for 2 hours, bro.
Small apartment building. And on the first floor was this old guy named Dave who had apparently lived in the building forever. And no one really knew what Dave's deal was. The only time people saw him is when he walked outside to walk his tiny dog. But other than that, he never left his apartment. He had a nephew who delivered him groceries once a week. My friend just assumed that Dave was too old or had some sort of sickness that prevented him from leaving the house. One day my friend was coming home from school and Dave's nephew was leaving the apartment building. And my friend is really sweet, so she was like, hey, I know Dave sometimes has troubles getting out of the house, so if you ever need me to go over there and bring him something, let me know. I'm always happy to help. And the nephew looked really shocked and terrified. He was like, no, you should never go over to Dave's ever. And then he got really awkward and he was like, okay, gotta go, bye. And then a few weeks later, my friend was coming home from a Halloween party late at night. And when she got inside her apartment building, Dave's door on the first floor was wide open and it was pitch black inside his apartment. But then she heard something behind her.
sociopath. So I met this guy that we'll call Aaron at my best friend's birthday party. He was super attractive, but honestly, I was flirting with his friend the whole night, which looking back on it, I think is what got his attention. By the end of the night, he went out of his way to talk to me, and I noticed just how absolutely charming he was, and I was shocked that he was single. So he asked for my number, and I of course gave it to him. And for our first date, we ended up going hiking. PSA for your safety, I do not recommend this for a first date. While everything seemed fine originally, this is where the conversation got weird. He talked to me about how he was attracted to me because I was going into the mental health field. He feels like no one can figure him out. He struggled with relationships for years because he continually puts on masks for people, but they can only last for so long before they come off and a breakup occurs and the other person sees his true self. But he says that this is why he's so good at sales. He's able to be whoever he wants to be for each person. He customizes it. Never once did he talk about his own emotions regarding situations, just his protection of his own reputation, as if he sees people as a way to get something or protect something. Soon I was contacted by a family member. Stay tuned for part 2.
I can't breathe, shaking, falling onto my knees. I have so much more to say to you, so don't go. Your kisses, I'll be needing stitches.